Hey hockey player, in this video I want to give you a tour of my fridge that I got here at home. Nutrition is such an important part of becoming a complete hockey player. Everybody knows once they change their diet, they feel better, they start recovering better, they start performing better. Everything is better mentally and physically, and you need all the tools that you can use in order to become a better hockey player. Nutrition is a game changer for fat loss, for weight gaining, for recovery, for making sure that you're properly fueled for your games. It's not enough to just train. It's not enough to just do your skill work. You need the nutrition to back up all of that and ensure that you're properly recovering from one session to the next, because you aren't what you can do. You only are what you can recover from. And nutrition is one of the most important aspects of ensuring you get optimal recovery. Hockey nutrition is its own world, okay? There's a big difference between eating clean and eating like a hockey player. Eating clean just means you're eating nutrient-dense foods like fruits and vegetables and whatever you want. Eating like a hockey player means that you understand the fuel, supply, and demand chain for your performance out in the ice and what nutrients you need to be taking in before and after your workouts and before and after your games to ensure you're covering all your bases and becoming the best hockey player that you can be. Eating for hockey means you need to have a lot of carbohydrates. Not so much a lot if you're currently cutting weight, but when it comes to hockey, hockey is a glycolytic sport, meaning it prefers both nervous system and muscular fuel sources coming from carbohydrates. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about protein, carbohydrates, and fats, but understand that hockey players should almost never be on low carbohydrate diets. It's something that has some health benefits in some different areas of research, but is absolutely not optimal fuel for performance and recovery for hockey athletes. Let's start with protein. Protein is a food source that's made up from 20 different amino acids, and each one of those amino acids plays unique roles within our physiology that a lot of people are unaware of. For example, L-tyrosine and L-phenylalanine. These are amino acids that are precursors for our stress hormones, for our adrenaline hormones, our fight or flight, our epinephrine and norepinephrine, and also for a neurotransmitter known as dopamine, which is responsible for motivation, attention span, and drive. There's an amino acid called tryptophan that's a precursor for melatonin and serotonin, which are important anti-anxiety neurotransmitters and hormones in our body that are great for sleep quality and making sure that our performance is optimal and that we're not getting too revved up before a game. Other amino acids, I could go on for days here. Isoleucine, valine, and leucine are the branched-chain amino acids that are found in highest concentration within our skeletal muscle tissue. So there's a lot of different amino acids that play a lot of different roles, neurally and muscularly and health-based within our body. So it's really important that we get a good spectrum of digestible and absorbable proteins in our body. And when you look at the research, there's ways in which you can measure the value of protein and essentially, and put very simply, how good a protein is. There's plenty of methods within the data, such as protein digested amino acid score, net protein utilization, nitrogen retention, biological value. There's a lot of different ratings, but at the top of every single rating, no matter what research you look at, animal proteins come number one. So I really like to recommend lean meats and dairy products for primary protein sources. So when you look in here, when it comes to animal proteins, another animal protein that's at almost the top of every list is eggs. So I've got plenty. You'll always see in my fridge, and this is my fridge when nothing special is going on. I'm not doing anything special. This is what it always looks like. Got plenty of whole eggs. You see I got 18 packs of whole eggs, and I'll have anywhere from 3 to 5 per day. And then egg whites as well. Egg whites, it is a very highly digestible protein, but one of the good things about it is it's very easily digestible. So if you're somebody who has early morning practice and you want to get some breakfast in, but you don't want anything sitting in your gut, egg whites are a great option because their metabolization is very fast and their GI distress is incredibly low. So those are some great protein sources. You see I've got some pre-cooked ground turkey in here. That's got taco seasoning on it because it's super low calorie and adds a little bit of a nice kick. And that's pretty much the proteins that you're looking at here. I do recommend as well cottage cheese. Having this before bed is something that's advantageous because it is a slow digesting protein and therefore can help fight protein breakdown but also support protein synthesis even while you're sleeping at night. It's something that can take over 8 hours to properly digest and absorb. So you could think about like having an IV of amino acids in your blood throughout the night if you have this before bed, especially if you combine it with a fiber and a fat source. So if you want the optimal pre-bed hockey meal, I actually did a podcast on this. 1 cup of cottage cheese, 1 cup of blueberries, and a 1/4 cup of raw nuts. That's your pre-bed meal, and you can listen to the podcast for more information on that because there's a lot of science that goes into that meal. And then also I got some Greek yogurt here. Always go with plain Greek yogurt because if you have the flavored versions, there's just simply way too much sugar in it. So what I recommend hockey athletes do is get the plain Greek yogurt if they don't like cottage cheese, and then use that plain Greek yogurt as a replacement, but add your own natural fruit to it to sweeten it. So you're not getting a sweetened version with a bunch of just table sugar in it. So those are the real recommended proteins that I have in my house on a weekly basis. You got your eggs, your egg whites, your lean meats, your cottage cheese, and your Greek yogurt. I also take whey protein isolate after I train. So having covered the protein category a little bit, we'll move on to carbohydrates. Like I said previously, carbohydrates are the preferred fuel source for both the muscular system and the nervous system. Muscle glycogen is a stored form of carbohydrate that is found within the muscle cell that is your primary fuel source for the muscle. This comes from carbohydrates. Blood glucose is circulating glucose in the bloodstream, so it's not stored in muscle as muscle glycogen. Instead, it's circulating blood glucose. That's the preferred fuel source for the nervous system. So muscle glycogen is carbohydrates for the muscle, but blood glucose is carbohydrates for the nervous system. Now, this is super important to care about because your muscular system is really just the engine, whereas your nervous system is the driver that puts the gas pedal down on that engine. And when it comes to carbohydrates and what I like to recommend, I really like grains and I really like fruit. Grains and fruit, pretty simple. A lot of good nutrition. You'll find it actually is pretty simple. A lot of people overcomplicate it, but it can be pretty simple. You'll see in my fridge, guess what my favorite fruit is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cartons of blueberries in my fridge. That's a great carbohydrate source. It's one of the most pound for pound powerful antioxidant foods in the entire nutrition world. And it has got a lot of good vitamins and minerals in it. It's not just about proteins and carbs that are your macronutrients. You got to care about your micronutrients as well, which is why I like to recommend whole, minimally processed foods for all hockey athletes, getting everything as natural as possible. And blueberries are a great way to do that. They also have very unique benefits for your brain health, believe it or not, as well. They're very great for preventing neurodegeneration as you age. So there's your blueberries. That's a good carbohydrate source. Your vegetables, you'll see here, I've got tomatoes, I've got asparagus, I've got more carbs, which are your apples and your pears. These are all carbohydrate sources, but if you want to get your big carbohydrate sources in that are actually going to fuel you for the game, I'm a big fan of rice. It's super easily digestible. Yes, this is the kind that cooks quick, and no, you don't have to get a fancy kind. If you want wild rice, if you want a kind that takes longer to cook because it has a higher fiber percentage, you can go ahead and do that, but don't think that it's anything better because you're doing that. This is super convenient and easy, and it's what I have my hockey athletes always have because it's very quick, it's very convenient, and the diet that you can stick to is the diet that's always going to get you the best results over time. Whenever you get complicated recipes and huge preparation formulas going on, adherence tends to drop. So I like to keep things simple, and in the context of rice, you're getting plenty of vitamins and minerals in the instant version already, and it's just way faster and easier. So I'm a big fan of it. Another portion of carbohydrates that I like is your chia seeds and your hemp seeds. These got plenty of vitamins and minerals, but also healthy fats and omega-3s. And what I like to actually throw them with is oatmeal. So I also have instant oatmeal and not steel cut oats. So I'm not soaking my oats overnight. It's not a 20 to 30-minute process just to have breakfast. I have a scoop of this, put it in a bowl, add some water to it, and put it in the microwave. But a cool recipe that I love is I'll actually do a half a cup of oats with 1 teaspoon of hemp seeds, 1 teaspoon of chia seeds, 1 tablespoon of natural peanut butter, a half a cup of blueberries, and a 1/4 cup of raisins, and then a little pinch of cinnamon. Stir that thing up and you have a breakfast bowl that's absolutely delicious and fuels you for the entire day. It's something where when you take it in, you just feel rejuvenated. You feel ready to tackle the day. So that's a great way to take in a lot of carbohydrates to support hockey performance and support hockey recovery, but do it in a healthy and delicious way, which isn't always common when you're thinking about clean foods. I just freaking love that recipe. Again, this is my fridge. This is what I eat. You don't have to do this, but it's definitely something that's good for hockey performance. So those are the main carbohydrates that I think that I want to point out here. I do also recommend carb powder. So essentially the rule when it comes to carbohydrates is you want slow digesting carbs outside of the workout window, but fast digesting carbs inside of the workout window. So things like sugars are actually better for you during training than, your sweet potatoes or your rice or your quinoa or your fruit that would be better carbohydrate sources outside of training. Think about simple carbs during, complex carbs outside. That's how you should be breaking it down. I also have sweet potato back here as well. You could get these guys. This is something if you're not into rice, if you're not into quinoa, sweet potato is an awesome option. Plenty of vitamin A, plenty of beta carotene, plenty of fiber. It's a real carbohydrate powerhouse that I like to recommend as well. Add a little bit of cinnamon to this. Adding cinnamon to sweet potato increases the taste quite a bit. You can add some salt and pepper as well. So cinnamon, salt, and pepper aren't going to add any calories, but they make this a lot more doable as far as your long-term eating adherence goes. Which brings us to fats. I guess I'll go over some fats now. Healthy fats in the diet. When you look at the research, monounsaturated fats are the king healthy fat, okay? And this is in many populations. You're looking at the elderly population, the youth population, you're looking at athletes, you're even looking at the chronically diseased individuals. Monounsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats. These are healthy fats that help fuel the body, help support hormonal homeostasis, and provide a lot of things that carbohydrates and proteins don't, right? Fats are essential for survival. They're an essential nutrient, meaning our liver cannot manufacture them by itself. We need it from dietary sources. So monounsaturated fats at the recording of this video seem to be the most healthy fat that anybody can take in, regardless of what's going on with population and goals. And what are monounsaturated fats? Well, extra virgin olive oil is a monounsaturated fat that I recommend hockey athletes cook with when making their food. Avocados is something that's great to add to a smoothie, or I actually just eat it plain. A lot of people think I'm weird though, so maybe that's not what your thing, but you can add it to a smoothie, and you can also make guacamole out of it. When you do guacamole with like this, some lime juice and tomato, that's healthy. And it's just because it's Mexican food doesn't mean that it has to be unhealthy. You can make healthy guacamole at home. So you've got your avocado, you've got your extra virgin olive oil, which is your monounsaturated fat. Another fat that's great for hockey players that's monounsaturated is raw nuts. Now, I personally love cashews, so I have them pretty much every single week, but Brazil nuts, pecans, almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, these are all forms of monounsaturated fat. And nuts, when you go through the research on nuts, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything bad or even anything neutral. Like almost all the research is not just not bad or neutral, it's great. Nuts provide a lot of health benefits for blood sugar stabilization, vitamin and mineral status, inflammation status of the body. Nuts are just a real nutrient powerhouse on top of being something that's good for fueling the hormonal support that we need to become optimal hockey players. So those are some of my favorite healthy fats to take in. And then you're gonna also see that I've got 100% all natural peanut butter in my fridge as well, and that's also a monounsaturated fat. So when I've got my peanut butter in here, understand it's natural peanut butter. I really don't recommend the other stuff. That natural peanut butter is really, the ingredients should be peanut butter. That's what it should be, or sorry, peanuts. I guess that's what it should say. The ingredients should be peanuts. It shouldn't be peanuts plus icing sugar, plus maltodextrin. There shouldn't be any of that, okay? So having that, and it's delicious anyways. If you haven't had it. One thing I forgot to mention actually, that I want to mention just because I like it so much, is turkey bacon. If you're somebody who loves bacon and you want to switch something up to something that's probably 10% of the calories in a literal sense, then get turkey bacon. It's very lean, and I always add it to breakfast. Like an example of breakfast I'll have is chopped up peppers, chopped up onions, and then chopped up tomatoes. And I'll add 3 or 4 eggs into it, make it an egg scramble, then throw a couple of slices of turkey bacon on top, have a bowl of oatmeal on the side. We're good to go. That's a great breakfast for hockey players. That's not just good for fueling performance and recovery, but again, really good for your health as well. So that's a tour of my fridge and kind of what's going on with my pantry. For your total daily protein, carbohydrate, and fat intake, I really recommend going to hockeytraining.com/nutrition. I've done a ton of research in this area, and you can calculate your calorie intake for the day if you want to drop body fat, build muscle, or maintain your current weight. And then you can also calculate what's going to be optimal for you in terms of how many grams of protein, carbohydrates, and fats you should take in per day. But just as importantly, how many grams of carbs and protein are going to be best for you pre-game, intra-game, and then post-game. These are really important calculations that go outside the scope of this fridge tour video. So go to hockeytraining.com/nutrition and check all that out. If you liked this video, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button, and also subscribe to the hockeytraining.com channel as well, because I've got so much more content in store for you to help you reach your hockey potential. And if you want to become a blazing fast hockey player, click on the link in the comments section below to download your explosive speed package. Let's go.